Hi you guys. So I wanted to come on here and just talk about a few things. I feel like a lot of us, especially those who have been awake for a while and those who have been in an awareness, a more spiritual awareness, I really feel a lot of us are being called to step into our power, called to step into and do things that maybe we wouldn't have done before because we were nervous or scared, and now we're finally in a place where we are just kind of taking that leap of faith, I guess, and just doing things even if they're scary, because honestly that's all you can do, right? And I think like being conscious, you're like, yeah, you come to that awareness that if you want to do something, you have to do it. You have to push yourself to do it because nobody else can, right? So a few things I wanted to talk about on here was that we're really being called to step into our power. And what I mean by that is like our inner knowing, our truth, really getting into alignment with our soul essence, our soul mission and purpose, just really what we are and who we are under the surface. Because we are multidimensional beings, we are not just humans, we are having a human experience, but we are much more than that, you know, and having that knowing and anchoring that into your human vessel, that can really help. And it can make your life, well, one, it's like a game, right? So it can make it a little bit more fun once you realize like you're essentially player one in your game, in your reality. So that's kind of what I mean by stepping into your power, is you're kind of starting to be pushed to embody your higher self and really stepping up in knowing your worth and just being authentic, even though yes, that's scary. So one of the ways we begin to step into our power is really taking accountability. Like I said, becoming player one in your game of reality. The only thing we truly have control over is ourselves, so we really need to take like radical accountability and just really learn to call ourselves out so that we can fix the things that we may be unconsciously doing that's keeping us at a lower level. In that, we need to really get to know ourselves at a very deep level. And this obviously takes a lot of work. This is where the healing comes in, where the shadow work comes in. It takes a lot of work. And the people that are in the midst of it, you know it takes a lot of work. It takes so much inner work. It's a daily thing. It's a lifelong journey. Literally, that's what we came here to do, right? We came here to learn lessons and to grow and have this experience here on earth. So why you need to get to really know yourself. So within forming this super deep self-love and inner knowing and self-knowing, you do need to become very self-accepting, and you do have to love yourself. And I mean truly love yourself. I don't mean like, oh, I scrub my feet like once a week, you know, give myself a pedicure once a week and that's like me loving myself. No, it goes way deeper than that. You need to love the parts of you that maybe you don't like too much, or, you know, your shadow self, your shadow aspects, because we cannot truly transcend the whole ego, right? So we need to really begin to, one, begin to understand our shadow self and our ego and maybe like the darker aspects of ourselves, so that we can get on top of those things, right? So that they're not controlling us. So we're conscious of them. They're not controlling us anymore. And you also need to have a really strong sense of self. And I'll give an example of this because I'm really telling you guys this from like a point of like something I'm noticing also in my journey. So you really need to have a very strong sense of self in self-knowing and knowing who you are, and knowing that, okay, if nobody else has my back, I have my back. Like, I love me. You have to trust yourself more than anybody, right? Because in truth, we are the only ones that we're ever going to have all the time. We are the only ones that we can truly rely on. And that's why we need to take accountability, full accountability, because we are the only ones that we can really rely on, right? So we need to trust ourselves before we trust anybody else, other than like God, your guides, the universe, whoever you connect with, whatever you connect with. This isn't about like religion or anything like that. This is just, I feel, something that humans going through ascension are going through. So yeah, This definitely does not have to do with your religion or anything like that. And we're actually going to talk about that in a second. So as I was just saying, you are your own forever best friend. And to truly be in your power, in your truth, you can't be in your power and in your truth if you are constantly looking for like gratification and validation from outside sources like other people, spouses, friends, work, whatever it is for you. But I know that's obviously easier said than done, but this is something that literally came to me just this week. Like, and that's why I'm making videos in the first place. This is a little side note. Is I've always wanted to make videos and things like that, but I just never felt like, for some reason, I would make up stories in my head like, oh, I can't do that, I can't do that. We all do it, so I know you know what I'm talking about, right? So I would just make up these stories in my head, and just this week I was like, why not? You know? Like, why not? And I think it's also because, you know, I'm sure many of you are, if you're watching this, I was very afraid of like what other people would say about me or what other people, you know, other people's judgments. But this week, and I've been doing the inner work for like 2 years, maybe a little bit more. And I've just become really conscious within the last 2 years. I feel like this is when I've really become awake. You know, you get so afraid that people are going to judge you. But this week, it came to me that like, who cares? Because if other people don't like me as a person, that's okay, right? Because they don't have to. Not everybody is going to understand you. And not everybody is meant to understand you. So we just have to like send love and move on and not even really give into that energy, because I have me, and if someone's going to leave a rude comment on the internet or something like that, or even in real life, like I feel like that says more about them than it does about you. Obviously, it depends on the situation too. If you're like provoking and being rude and all of those types of things, you know, you kind of do attract what you're putting out there. So there's that. But yeah, so obviously this is a lifelong journey. This is a lifelong process of doing the work and growing. And another thing that's going to be happening, I'm sure it's happening already, is a lot of people who are feeling this, those of you watching this video, the people who are feeling like, okay, it's time for me to step up, I'm being pushed to start doing things that do make me a little uncomfortable, but I know that it's calling me, this is what I'm supposed to be doing. Those of you that understand this, you're going to be starting to trust and listen to your intuition, and your intuition is your inner knowing. So that's another thing. That's another form of self-love, is really beginning to trust that inner knowing, because that's you beginning to trust yourself in your own judgment. So when we get those intuitive hits and we feel something, like it's that underlying energy, like maybe it's not here just yet, but it's that underlying energy of something shifting. And the energies have to shift before a shift can happen on the physical, right? So yes, those of you who are listening to this and you're like understanding, I am sure that you are really like beginning to listen and hear very clearly what you're being called to do. Obviously, sometimes it's still fuzzy, the ego gets in the way, self-doubt, fear, whatever. But you are beginning to really fine-tune and begin to tap into that. So one of the things that we talked about, I think a little bit already, is shadow work. So shadow work is like the ego self, the darker bits of yourself, or the parts of yourself that you don't really accept or want to see. In order to really grow, we need to face those things head on. And obviously that is a lot easier said than done. But once you truly embrace those feelings, that darkness, and allow yourself to really go and feel those things and bring light to that shadow aspect, you'll be in control and things will start to shift. And once again, this is a daily thing we need to work with and we need to work on. It's literally a lifetime of doing the work. And that's like what I said, we're here for that. That's what we came here for, is to do some work, do some growing, have an experience, and in a physical form. Another thing that is happening, and this is really what I mean when I say stepping into your power, stepping into your truth, is beginning to explore who you are and allow yourself to just be as you are. So what I mean by that is release the confines of other people's standards and opinions. You are who you are. You're not your ego, you're not your religion, you're not your gender, ethnicity, your outer appearance. That's a part of you, right? But that's not you. We define ourselves so much. And it's really a story you're telling yourself, because really, no matter who I am, right, I can be and like and do, no matter what I look like, who I am on the outside, I can like and do and be any way I am as a person. So we can't keep telling ourselves these old stories and expecting a different outcome. We're literally just going, if we keep telling ourselves these old stories, in which we all have stories, so if we're telling ourselves these stories like, oh, I'm this way because of this and I can't change because of that, it's a made up story. So you write the story. So we can decide right now, like, we want to rewrite the story. Otherwise, we're just going to keep doing the same thing over and over and over again and getting frustrated and upset about it, but not really changing anything to actually shift to the reality that we want. We do need to do the work, and it doesn't come overnight. I mean, yeah, it takes a lot of work, but it's so worth it, it is so worth it. So I invite you to explore different sides of yourself, different aspects of yourself, and release judgment of what you think is not right. Release judgment of yourself and release judgment of others. Everybody's on their very own path. So what's right for you might not be right for, somebody else, but that's okay. As long as where you are coming from is from a good intention and obviously not trying to harm anybody whilst living in your truth, then that's fine. Do you, right? As long as you're not hurting anybody, be you. And if others don't like that, that's something that they need to deal with inside. They are going through something. They don't accept, or they're rejecting a part of themselves that maybe you're expressing, and so they're projecting that onto you. Just remember, we are literally energetic beings, really, we are multidimensional energetic beings, and we're just having this experience. So if something is calling to you and it keeps calling, you'll know it's for you. If it keeps calling, that's your intuition letting you know, okay, maybe this is something we should explore. Maybe this is something. Just try it. Honestly, it's okay. We're going to mess up, okay? Be gentle with yourself during this process, during this lifetime in general. Be gentle with yourself. Take accountability, but be gentle with yourself. We are just human beings. We all mess up. This is just a lifetime journey of morphing our highest self with our ego. If you're on this path, that's what we're trying to do, right? We are just trying to morph those two, because that's what we are, right? That's the truth. We are truly, at the core, an energetic being. And we're here now on earth in this body. It's just so divine, and it's just so amazing. And I know it's casual and it's like a daily thing, so we don't think about it too much. But when you do think about it, it's like, holy smokes. But yeah, when you do think about it and you really just tap into that source consciousness and that divine essence, it's just like, whoa, okay, I don't know how we forget, So this is part of the stepping into your power that is a little bit harder. So on your journey to stepping into your power, stepping into your truth, finding yourself, you are going to lose people. And that's almost automatic, honestly. You're not going to lose everybody, and some people are actually going to begin to grow with you as you grow and heal. They're going to start doing the same thing, because you're going to, in a sense, be a catalyst, or vice versa. Someone may have been a catalyst for you, but you're going to lose the people who are no longer in a vibrational resonance to you. Literally, it's so funny because it sounds funny, but once you start to raise your vibration, you really do vibrate out of people's lives. And I feel like that's just how it happens all the time, but we never really think about it that way. So yeah, not everyone is coming with you on your journey, and you're gonna lose people once you begin to heal. Like I said, some people will begin to heal with you, or just in general, some people will just accept your journey, and that's awesome. Not everybody has to be on the same journey as you to be in your life. you'll know. It's a vibe. You'll know. It's just, I feel honestly, we all intuitively know when a relationship is over, it's hit its end. There's not much more growing that can happen if we're really tuned in to like what we are doing here and what we're doing in general, like with this time here. We know when something is over, there's no more growth going to happen. Like, I just think it's hard for a lot of us to let go. And I mean, for all of us, right? It's hard for us to let go of the known, like what we've already been comfortable with and what we know. It's scary. It is scary, but we have to do it in order to grow, in order to move into different cycles and start new things. We have to do it. And that's literally where growth happens, is where it's like a bit uncomfortable. That is where it happens. Some people are not going to understand why you changed, and that's okay too. Everybody is at where they're at a certain time for a certain reason. Nope, you don't have to understand their journey. They don't have to understand your journey. It's just sending unconditional love and no hard feelings. But, you know, sometimes your connection just is supposed to be done, and that's fine. And you just go your separate ways, right? So every connection literally does serve a purpose and teaches us a lesson. Some of them obviously are going to be lifelong connections or very important connections, and some of them are just like small little lessons that we learn. So, we'll know when the connections are done, and we can choose to continue with the karmic patterns, or we can choose ourselves and our growth in comparison. And I personally feel that I'm going to choose my growth over everything because that's of my highest timeline. So I encourage you guys to do the same, right? Once we begin to choose ourselves and our growth, we move to the next level, essentially. And this makes room and will allow for a more vibrational match to come in. And I'm not even saying those people will be there forever, but that's just how it works. That's how this process works. So let's just remember that every ending is honestly a beginning. Life is literally just full of death and rebirth. You know, I've found that sometimes, like when you just hit a roadblock and it just feels like rock bottom, that's when you literally have a breakthrough. So yeah, it is a little bit scary because obviously if you're losing people, that's scary. That feels almost like rejection, but it's not rejection, it's redirection. Yes, it can be scary. It can feel scary to live in your truth and be yourself, especially because we have this ego mindset of like, oh no, I'm, you know, not in the pack. You know, I'm like, you know, on the outside of the pack. That feels scary. But whilst getting outside of the pack, you find your tribe. You find your real pack. You know, a false life with a mask on. I think that's equally scary or even more scary. So choose which scary you want, because I feel like life is just a little bit, you know, I wouldn't even necessarily say it's scary, but it's unpredictable, you know, it's full of so many things. So I'm going to choose my highest timeline, and I really encourage you guys to do the same. And by doing that, by choosing yourself and by choosing your highest timeline and by choosing to be in your authenticity and your truth, that inspires like a domino effect and a ripple effect of allowing others to be like, oh, okay, even if they don't necessarily understand, I feel they feel more comfortable knowing they can be in their truth, being around someone who is comfortable and steady in themselves. It's like a pillar of light, letting others know like, oh, it's okay, like to be yourself and be honest with yourself. But yeah, that's all I wanted to come on here and say, guys. So yeah, I tried to make this video, literally took me like all day. I don't really know where this channel is gonna go, but for right now it feels right, it feels fun and different, so I'm just gonna give it a try, and it'll be cool to be able to connect with different people, and whoever's listening, it'll just be cool to have these conversations and connect with people who feel the message and resonate. So thank you guys for listening. If you liked it, go ahead and leave a like and go ahead and subscribe if you want to see more. If you would like to follow me on my Instagram, it is at fullcircle139. So yeah, I hope to see you in the next one.